Some races just feel different before they even begin, and Texas right now has that exact energy. There's tension, unpredictability, and a sense that things could spiral into chaos at any moment. What makes it even more intriguing is that it's not just one storyline driving the hype. There are two major elements that could completely reshape how this race unfolds. On one side, you've got drivers who look dominant on paper, but might not be as secure as they seem. On the other, there's a quiet shift happening behind the scenes that could turn this into a strategic chess match we haven't really seen at Texas in years. If you followed NASCAR long enough, you already know this is the kind of setup where surprises are almost guaranteed. So let's break it down. Right now, Denny Hamlin is listed as the favourite heading into the Worth 400, and that makes sense given his form this season. He's at plus 400 and has 3 Texas wins under his belt. But here's the catch. None of those victories came in the next-gen era, and that changes the conversation. His recent results at Texas are mixed as well. Sure, there are 2 top 5 finishes in the last 5 races, but there are also a couple of finishes outside the top 30. That inconsistency raises questions, even with his strong performance on intermediate tracks this year, including a win at Las Vegas and leading laps at Kansas. Close behind is Tyler Reddick at plus 550, and he's been on fire this season. His recent win at Kansas, where he made a bold last lap move, shows just how confident he is right now. He's already proven he can win at Texas too, taking victory here in 2022. Since then, he's remained competitive, and with multiple wins already this season, he's clearly one of the biggest threats. And then there's Kyle Larson at plus 650, which feels slightly unusual given his stature. We're talking about a top-tier driver who hasn't won in over a year. He's still been consistent with several top finishes, but the lack of wins is noticeable. Texas has been a solid track for him in the past, so this could be the race where he finally gets back to victory lane. But here's the twist. Texas has a history of unpredictability. Last year's race had 16 caution flags matching the track record. If we see anything like that again, the favourites could easily get shuffled out of contention. That's where drivers like Bubba Wallace come into play. He's shown real strength at Texas recently, including leading a significant number of laps in one race. Brad Keselowski is another name to watch. He's come close multiple times, but still hasn't sealed the deal here. And if things get wild, someone like Austin Dillon could sneak into the picture with his recent solid finishes at this track. Now, the second big storyline might be even more important. NASCAR, along with Goodyear, is introducing a new tyre setup aimed at increasing wear. Texas races in recent years have been criticised for being too predictable, with minimal tyre fall-off and limited passing. This new approach is expected to change that completely. More tyre degradation means more variation in lap times, more pit strategy decisions, and a higher chance of mistakes. In simple terms, this race might not just be about speed. It could come down to who manages their tyres, timing, and strategy the best. And when that happens, all bets are off. Teams are going to be forced into tough calls all race long. Do you pit early for fresh tyres and gain speed, or stretch the run and hope a caution falls your way? With this new tyre setup, getting the adjustments wrong, whether it's pressure, balance or camber, could lead to a massive drop-off after just 15 to 20 laps. That puts a premium on drivers who know how to handle long runs. Guys like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney immediately come to mind. They've all shown they can manage tyre wear and stay competitive deep into a run. On the flip side, drivers who rely heavily on clean air and short run bursts might find themselves stuck and struggling if they fall into traffic. There's also a big unknown factor here. Texas has an older surface, multiple racing grooves, and grip that changes throughout a run. Even the teams don't have a clear picture yet of how these tyres will behave over time. That uncertainty adds another layer of unpredictability. During the race, a few things will really stand out. How quickly lap times fall off, whether drivers can actually pass during long green flag runs, and how teams approach pit strategy. If everything works the way NASCAR and Goodyear intend, this could turn into a much more exciting and strategy-driven race than what we've seen here in recent years. Another important detail, there are no major format changes this weekend. It's still one practice session, single lap qualifying, and the usual inspection rules. That means execution is everything. Getting through inspection cleanly putting together a strong qualifying lap and delivering on pit road could make or break a team's day. Mistakes on pit road, speeding, penalties, slow stops or poor timing can instantly ruin track position, and with a limited number of tyre sets available, strategy becomes even more critical. So this race isn't just about who has the fastest car, it's about who makes the fewest mistakes. That's why this weekend feels so unpredictable. You've got top contenders with real question marks, underdogs who could surprise, a tyre change that shifts the entire strategy, and almost zero room for error. This is exactly the kind of race where anything can happen, and it could have a serious impact on how the championship picture starts to form. From a fan's perspective, this feels like one of those weekends where the betting odds don't tell the full story. Denny Hamlin being the favourite makes sense on paper, especially with his performance on similar tracks this season, but Texas hasn't exactly been reliable for him in the next-gen era. He can look dominant one moment and fade the next, which is risky in a race that could get chaotic again. Tyler Reddick, on the other hand, feels like the biggest threat right now. His confidence is sky high after that Kansas win, and he's driving with the perfect mix of aggression and control. If this race becomes all about tyre management, he's in a very strong position. Kyle Larson is another name to watch closely. Everyone knows what he can do, especially on tracks where tyre wear matters, but that long winless stretch is starting to become a storyline of its own. At some point, it's not just about speed, it's mental. If these new tyres create the kind of fall off expected, this might be the perfect opportunity for him to turn things around. And don't overlook Bubba Wallace as a sleeper. Texas has quietly been a strong track for him, and he's shown he can lead and control races here. If strategy falls his way and he stays near the front, he could absolutely be a factor late. Brad Keselowski is another interesting case. He knows how to race at Texas, and those multiple second place finishes prove it. But the big question remains, can he finally close it out here? Still, if this race comes down to execution and smart decisions, he's definitely one of the drivers capable of taking advantage. And then there's Austin Dillon. He may not be the obvious pick to win, but in a race shaped by strategy, cautions and unpredictability, he's exactly the kind of driver who can quietly move forward. Give him the right sequence of pit calls and track position, and suddenly a top 5 or even a surprise run at the win isn't out of the question. But the real game changer here is the new tyre from Goodyear. If they've truly delivered on increasing tyre fall off, this race could feel completely different from the Texas events we've seen in recent years. And honestly, that's something this track has needed. More fall off creates more opportunities. Drivers making moves, cars fading, others charging forward. It puts the race back in the hands of the drivers instead of locking them into dirty air. At the same time, there's a fine line. If the tyre wear ends up being too aggressive or inconsistent, it could throw teams into pure guesswork. Instead of calculated strategy, it might become a race of survival. Who avoids the biggest mistake rather than who runs the fastest? That's why this one feels so fascinating. It may not come down to raw speed at all. It could be about which team reads the race best, who adjusts the quickest, and which driver manages the changing conditions smarter than everyone else. And that's what makes Sunday so unpredictable and honestly so exciting. So now the big questions are, will the new tyre actually deliver the kind of fall off everyone is expecting? Can the favourites handle the chaos, or will strategy flip the script? Write your opinions and comment.